Tonight, massive challenge for snapper sustainability in the Spencer Gulf. Stocks still classed as depleted in our region. And make sure your voice is heard. With voting closing tomorrow, we chat with the mayoral candidates in Port Augusta.
From our 7 Spencer Gulf studios, your nightly news with Madeline Kerr begins now.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. There was once a time when people would flock to Whyalla for the annual fishing comp. But after the city's renowned snapper population plummeted, a 3-year fishing ban was put in place. With time almost up, scientists from the South Australian Research and Development Institute have returned to the city with new data on how the species is faring now. Edward McCarroll reports.
Scientists have travelled to Whyalla today to present their findings of their 2022 snapper assessment. Now available on the PIRSA website, the scientists' report shows a halt in the decline of snapper stocks in both the Spencer Gulf and along the west coast.
So we've seen a declining stock without having any babies to come and replenish that population. So that's been the biggest concern.
Despite this pause, the species population has failed to bounce back to sustainable levels, resulting in the iconic South Australian fish still being classified as highly depleted.
The closure did arrest the decline, but we're not at this stage seeing any signs of recovery, and it may be just too early to tell.
This data will play a key role in determining whether or not the current snapper ban will be extended.
I just cannot believe how they've come up with this statistic that the stocks are depleted, because all the locals, everyone in town will tell you there is that many snapper around now. We're honestly struggling to catch other species.
Fishing for snapper has been outlawed since November 2019. The ban was hoping to give the depleted species a fighting chance to repopulate. But now, 3 years later, it's also decimated local fishing charter businesses and community events based around the sought-after fish.
Whyalla fishing charters have been operating here for 25 years, fishing the snapper capital of Australia, taking tourists from all over Australia, not only that, all over the world, chasing our iconic fish. So the snapper closure has had a significant impact on the business. It's basically gone about a 95% loss in business.
The snapper issue is quite an emotive one. It's an important iconic species, so people really are invested in the information. So we've just completed the stock assessment report, a culmination of quite a lot of research, and we just want to make sure that we're disseminating that science more broadly to the community.
With meetings scheduled over the next 2 weeks, the government will assess the data and deliver a decision on the future of the ban by the end of next month.
Eddie, thank you. It's all systems go for Southern Launch, with a predicted launch date set to be finalised in the coming days or weeks. It's been a long time coming for the South Australian Space Company, but they're taking every precaution, partnering with the CFS to mitigate bushfire risks.
The long-awaited launch is almost here. Now the team is preparing the final touches to its facility at Whalers Way in the hopes of successfully sending a rocket into the stratosphere.
And hopefully within the next 2 weeks, everything will be ready to go, and our customer AT Space will be able to, attempt a launch.
The 2-stage suborbital rocket sits at 10 metres in height and aims to travel 200 kilometres above Earth. Lloyd and the team working tirelessly to add the finishing touches to the facilities.
So the teams have started to arrive on site, and they've been upgrading some of the roads, starting to site some of the key launch infrastructure on site.
Additionally, Southern Launch is paired up with the CFS this fire danger season to ensure the site meets safety requirements.
Over the last couple of weeks, we've been talking through all different types of scenarios, how to respond to them, how we can augment the CFS's situational awareness.
The event aims to be a major milestone for Australian space exploration and inspire the next generation to get involved in the industry.
For the last 4 or 5 years, this industry has truly blossomed, and the more and more students and schools that we interact with, there are more and more individuals who keep talking about wanting to get into the space industry.
Southern Launch will be hosting school children from across the Eyre Peninsula to tour the launch pad this Sunday. Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The two candidates running for the mayoralty of Port Augusta have thanked their supporters following weeks of campaigning. With voting closing tomorrow at 5 p.m, there's been a last-ditch attempt to get ballots in before counting starts on Saturday.
A meeting to mark the end of the Port Augusta mayoral campaign. Brett Bembo and Lindley Shine thanking their supporters.
Overwhelming. I mean, I was fortunate enough to be voted in by a number of our communities 4 years ago. And if I can continue to get those votes, that's good. Democracy is a different beast.
Thank you, and thank you for all of your support over the time as well, leading into this period, and wishing everybody and our community all the best, and get behind whoever is actually going ahead and being successful.
Results for the mayoralty should be released on Saturday night, but we may not find out who's on council until Wednesday at the earliest. Both made a last call to undecided voters who have yet to hand in their ballots.
I'm certainly somebody who I do believe is an all-rounder. I feel like I've got skills to be able to contribute to so many different areas, and yet the thing about me is I'm prepared to actually really get in and dig in and get some hard work done.
I believe I've led in the right way. I've led this council to a good direction. We've had significant things happen in our council that I've been part of and been the chair of. I'm pleased with what I've done. I haven't changed who I am. I am who I am. And I think Port Augusta has benefited over the last term.
Voters have until 5 p.m. tomorrow to physically hand in their ballots to council. Daniel Pizarro, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The Regional Tech Hub, alongside the Australian Government, has launched Regional Connectivity Month, aiming to connect Australians with mobile and internet services. The initiative hopes to overcome the digital divide and support those living in the regions staying connected.
Regional connectivity has been an ongoing issue for many Australians living in the country, with 2/3 of Australia's landmass currently restricted to no mobile coverage. But there are solutions.
There's a lot of frustration out there with people in regional areas, and so the month really is to sort of say enough. Let's actually focus on the fact that there are things that we can do to make a difference for regional connectivity.
Since December 2020, the Regional Tech Hub has been supporting thousands of people living in the regions with their mobile and internet data, helping them choose the right option to maximise their coverage.
But the idea is that you can come to our service and we literally can pinpoint you where you are. We can look for what hills and trees and basically look for all the services that you have available to you, and then really help you walk through what are the next steps in terms of making that change.
The federal government also contributing $2.2 billion into regional connectivity, announced in this year's budget.
We actually had the Minister for Communications out earlier last week, to announce $30 million for a new ag tech connectivity program. And in part of the announcement, she also talked about the $6 million over 3 years for our program, which is the Regional Tech Hubs.
Connectivity Month runs from the 7th to the 20th of November. The Regional Tech Hub offering free advice and support to people in rural areas.
Please reach out to us. It's literally a case of filling out a form, and then we send you a bespoke report that basically looks at all the things around you and your options and sends that back to you.
Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Across the Spencer Gulf, thousands of people craned their heads to the sky last night to see one of the most spectacular natural events. A total lunar eclipse was visible from the early evening until just past 10 p.m. as the moon passed through the Earth's shadow. The moon glowing red due to the dimmer sunlight passing through the atmosphere. It was the last total lunar eclipse until 2025. Still to come tonight, more than just a scholarship. How Broken Hill's Wise Men's are also helping kids write to Santa. And the local artist behind Peterborough Basketball Association's new logo. Welcome back. Following on our story from yesterday, the Wise Men's Club scholarship program has opened in Broken Hill with 2 scholarships available. But the club also does a lot more around the city, including the letters to Santa.
The scholarship program started 8 years ago as a way to help those moving for tertiary education and help ease the burden of paying for accommodation.
Actually started with a couple of my grandchildren in Adelaide. They went to uni and I didn't realise the costs involved.
Not only does it help ease the financial burden on the students, but also their families as well.
The major cost is accommodation, and it could cost up to $30,000 a year. That's a lot of money, and the family's got to find it.
The application process is open until January 30, with those chosen announced on February 4. And they have a unique saying when it comes to the decision. They give it to the needy and not the greedy.
It helps them and helps their family to be able to afford to have these young men and women go to uni.
The scholarship and manning the barbecue at different community events aren't the only services the Wise Men's Club provide. The group also has a direct line to Santa Claus, accepting letters to the North Pole at the YMCA Wellness Centre.
We've got several post boxes around town where we collect the letters and we answer them and get the letters back to the kids before Christmas.
The Wise Men meet on the first Monday of the month. Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
The Peterborough Basketball Association has a brand new logo. The design is a nod to the Nudgee people and their land, as well as Peterborough's rich train history, and they're excited to show it off.
Designing the logo was Ashley's way of giving back to the community and the Basketball Association she loves.
When this opportunity came up, I was thrilled because as a business owner, a player and a sponsor of the Peterborough Basketball Association, I've been very fortunate to be able to illustrate such a powerful message through my artwork.
Ashley's art derives from her connection with family and the land. The line in between each person symbolises both men and women guarding and overseeing.
We want a strong community, inclusive community, and one that shows that we're all equal and we're all welcome.
The stadium serves a greater purpose than just a place to play basketball. It is somewhere people feel safe and connect with others.
I think it just gives everyone an outlet, somewhere to come, whether it's just for a chat with other parents or grandparents or other family members.
Every time I watch the kids play, I wish I was 100 years younger so that I can get up there and just play, because I was a sport keen, mad girl when I was a young child in Queensland.
Now complete, the public is welcome to come and check out the design for themselves. Annabelle Francis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. Meet the Orroroo author on a book tour for her 20th novel. And Broken Hills Junior Cricket squad seeking more players this season. Welcome back. Mid-North born and bred and best-selling rural author Fleur McDonald has returned home to celebrate the launch of her 20th novel, Broad River Station. Annabelle Francis has the story.
The Port Pirie Library hosted an event for residents to meet Fleur and ask their itching questions about her latest novel.
So Broad River Station is loosely set in Jamestown, and Mia is a newly minted constable, and she moves there to be closer to her grandmother who has dementia and is living in a nursing home there.
And although the covers may not suggest it, Fleur's novels are about crime and investigations.
So many people are saying to me, are you sure you didn't set this on this particular person? And I never do, but I just feel that if I've done that and I'm getting those questions, I've done my job right.
It's been a long time since Fleur had visited her hometown, and she is excited to be back.
It's been amazing because nothing's changed. It's been 3 years since I've been here. COVID stopped me from getting back a few times, and it's just been so familiar. Even the bumps in the road, you know where they're going to be.
Next up, Fleur is visiting Claire. Her books can be found at all good bookstores. Annabelle Francis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
With the weather finally starting to warm up, summer sports are taking centre stage. Junior cricket has gotten underway in Broken Hill with some good numbers so far, but more players are welcome and even encouraged to come along and pick up a bat.
Ready to start hitting some sixes and fours? or keen to bowl their first maiden over. The kids of Broken Hill learning all the sport has to offer.
So for about the first hour we do skills. So that's just hitting, bowling, fielding, catching, all those sorts of things. And then for the last part of the session we usually go out and play a bit of a modified game.
2 weeks in, attendance has been good so far, with all ages taking part. And there is still plenty of cricket to be played this season.
We've only had 2 weeks, but each week we've had between 20 and 30 kids come out, which has been good, of all ages, sort of 5 to 10 and a couple of 11 and 12-year-olds, which has been really good.
For parents who are keen to find their kids a summer sport, or if you've just moved to town, cricket is a good starting point, and beginners are most welcome.
We're welcome for anyone from any skill level, so beginners or people that have already had a few years under their belt, we're welcome for anyone to come and have a look, have a hit.
Like other sports, cricket can teach children some valuable skills, as well as getting them out and having fun in the sun.
Oh, cricket's one of those sports that, there's a lot of waiting around, so it's good for building a bit of patience for your kids. Also good to get them out in the sunshine, especially 8 o'clock in the morning before it gets too hot, get their energy out, and it's just good fun.
The juniors meet at Norm Fox Oval on Saturday mornings. Joshua Mercer, 7, Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. Eddie McCarroll has this week's Fuel Watch and more warm weather ahead. We'll have the weather details with John Hunt. Welcome back to 7 Spencer Golf News this Wednesday. Well, not much has changed price-wise at the Bowsers this week, except in Port Pirie. Last week's lower costs have risen to meet those of other cities in the Spencer Gulf. Here's Edward McCarroll with this week's Fuel Watch.
Well, as the REA predicted, it looks like fuel prices on the Spencer Gulf have stabilised, and any remnants of relief brought on by the fuel excise cut are now nothing but a distant memory. It is unlikely we will see dramatic changes in price over the coming weeks, which may not be welcome news for families already struggling with the cost of living crisis. Looking at unleaded, prices in Whyalla, Port Augusta and Port Pirie have all risen by about 2 cents. Port Lincoln and Kadina are sitting at virtually the same price as last week, and unleaded fuel in Kadina is costing around $1.82 per litre, the cheapest in our broadcast area. Across the border in Broken Hill, prices have dropped from $1.94 to $1.93, and Adelaide has been slammed by a massive price hike, jumping from $1.69 to $2.14. If you're heading down to the city this weekend, it's a good idea to fill up at home. Moving on to diesel, once again we see a mix of red and green arrows, with Port Lincoln and Broken Hill prices dropping by about 2 cents. Diesel now costs $2.36 in Whyalla and $2.33 in Kadina. In Port Pirie we are seeing a bit of a jump from $2.33 to $2.37. Finally, looking at autogas prices, almost nothing has changed, except for in Port Pirie again, where prices have jumped from $1.08 to $1.14. That's it for this week's Fuel Watch. Now just remember, these are the average prices and do not reflect any one particular outlet. If you see fuel for cheaper, please let us know through our Facebook page.
Edward McCarroll reporting there. Time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather with John Hunt. John, Port Augusta's had its warmest day in at least 8 months.
That's right, Maddie. Port Augusta recorded a top of 35.4 degrees around 4:20 this afternoon. It hasn't been that warm since March, when we had a 38-degree day. Looking at some of the day's other temperatures now, 35 in Whyalla as well. Again, the warmest day since February. Port Lincoln recorded its hottest day of the year so far, 35.6 degrees. Coober Pedy reached 37 degrees, the warmest day since the 12th of April. Looking more broadly at today's weather map, 35 in Woodner, Cummins and Cleve, 34 the top in Port Pirie and Adelaide. Taking a look at the satellite image now, a low pressure trough over the west of South Australia will continue to move slowly eastwards to reach eastern parts tomorrow. On the Gulf waters tomorrow, west to northwesterly winds 10 to 15 knots, turning south to southwesterly in the afternoon. Seas will be between 1 and 1.5 metres, and a south to southwesterly swell below 1 metre, increasing to 1.5 metres. Cloud coverage around Port Lincoln tomorrow, 22 degrees, partly cloudy and 26 in Cleve, partly cloudy in Woodner as well, between 14 and 27 degrees. Sunny in Whyalla, 25 degrees, mostly sunny and a top of 30 in Port Augusta. Cloud clearing around Kadina, 25 degrees there. Mostly sunny in Port Perry, 27 the top tomorrow, 24 degrees in Clare. Showers and a possible storm in Broken Hill on Thursday. 31 degrees and up to 10 millimetres of rain will fall. Taking a look further through the week now, and starting with Friday's outlook. By the looks of things, we've got a bit of everything. Storms in Port Perry, sunny in Port Augusta, showers in Port Lincoln. Temperatures between 21 and 37 degrees. Moving on to Saturday's forecast, stormy conditions across the majority of the Spencer Gulf, temperatures in the high 20s to early 30s. Possible showers in 26 in Port Lincoln, blue skies in Coober Pedy, 34 degrees. And finally, taking our first look at how Sunday is shaping up. Considerably lower temperatures to end the weekend. Possible showers in 21 in Woodner and Kadina, 25 in showers in Port Augusta, a few showers forecast for Broken Hill as well, 24 degrees. Windy conditions in the opal capital of the world, 27 degrees. And that's all the weather from me for tonight. I'll see you a little later with an update. It's back to you, Maddie.
Thanks for that, John. And that's local news this Wednesday. I'm Madeline Kerr. From all of us here, thanks for joining us. I'll have updates a little later, but until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.